Welcome back to another episode of the Conjugate Dads podcast. I'm your host, Dave Chase, with my co-host and bearded friend, Justin Commodores. How are we doing today, Justin?
Wonderful.
All right, great. Well, I wanted to open, usually you're always doing the openers, but I wanted to open with something on a personal note, but also related to the episode for today. But I would say it was like maybe 2 weeks ago now, a physical therapist came to visit my dad. For anyone who doesn't know, my dad has end-stage renal failure, so not in the greatest of health. You can obviously look more into that if you're curious on what that means. But he doesn't have the best mobility. He needs to strengthen his lower body. So he gave him 6 exercises to strengthen that lower body. So I'm just going to go through these with you. Everything is 2 sets of 15 reps. So marching in place, just lifting up your legs as far as you can, like to maybe your belt buckle, I would say, or as high as you can go. Kickbacks, squats, knee bends, so putting your leg behind, side kick, so like an abductor, and then heel raises, also known as calf raises. I don't know why we're calling it heel raises, but that's fine. Justin, why, again, this is a guy who's 67 years old, doesn't work out, love him to death. What do you think these exercises would have done if he was already doing some sort of form of exercise for the last 5 years? Let's just say the last year or so.
Probably nothing.
Okay.
And
And
I'm
then,
speaking
yeah.
I have 2 clients that are over the age of 65 and 1 client that's over the age of 80. And I prescribe the minimum things with dumbbells, right? And they could
Right.
be light
Yep.
dumbbells, it doesn't matter. Uh, because I think at that age, um, and it could just be like that guy's going from the book, right? The physical
Mm-hmm.
therapy book on like this is what you give the gen pop and it we don't know, we can't talk to that guy and figure out why he prescribed those 6 things. Maybe that's the 6 things in the book that make the most sense. That's likely the reason there. But I guess the thought process has to be is like start small and then kind of build on that. And again, I don't know. I would imagine with end stage renal failure, like you're limited in what you can do physically. But I do think that plus like the amount of stress that gets placed on your kidneys is probably pretty high with exercise. So maybe that's a factor too there.
Right. Yeah, he's not allowed to drink a lot of water. Like we always talk about, gotta drink more water, gotta drink more
Yeah.
water. He actually cannot drink more than a liter of fluid per
Because
day.
he
So
can't filtrate anything, right?
right, right. And
So
you do dialysis 3 days a week, which is great for filtering out the toxins in your body that we
yeah,
usually can do through other processes. But yeah, it's crazy to see that you get these 6 exercises and I'm like, I'm 33. I think I've been into weightlifting for about 20 years, right? I think the first time I ever picked up a weight was in my basement at 13, 14, something like that. And it was like the coolest thing ever to me. And we've talked about this before on the pod, right? Like as a kid, you're just like, oh, I want to be big and strong. And you just think that I know you said your dad used to, support you, be into it. Just never really saw that. I'm just kind of surprised that it never kind of went the other way. Like, hey, you're kind of getting super jacked. Yeah,
yeah.
let's try to go that way too. I don't know. It makes you
What
think a lot. I've been doing a lot of thinking since our last episode about the importance of adults over 30 training. And then now it's kind of like this episode, I wanted to focus on why is it important as you get to be 50?
I mean, how can you not think about those things when your dad's experiencing them right
Sure.
now?
Sure.
I think if you break down each one of these things, so you've got marching, you've got knee bends, you've got kickbacks, you've got side kicks. So marching is mainly hip quad. Your knee
Mm-hmm.
bend is quad. Again, this is somebody standing, holding on to something and just bending their leg back and forth. So that's quad. Kickback is mostly glutes. Side
Mm-hmm.
kick is hips and
Yeah.
adduction. And then
Yes.
you've
Yeah.
got
I
squats.
always say ab when I mean ad. Yeah.
Yes.
Every time.
And then you've got squat. And I could have those 2 backwards. I mix them up all the time. You've got squats and then you've got heel raises. So it's all lower body focus. Advance yourself to the following exercises done in a standing position. Hang on solid support, such as a kitchen counter. When exercising, these exercises are most effective if the trunk is kept upright, buttocks tucked, toes pointed straight ahead. Be sure to hold your stomach muscles tight and use good breathing techniques while exercising. So it doesn't say, like, here's how you can progress these things. It just is very 2 times per day, 15 repetitions. It's just very basic stuff. Honestly, it really just looks like, hey, we want you to do something so maybe we can buy you some more time.
Yeah.
That would
That's what I
be
was thinking. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, what is the reason that we're gonna give these 6 exercises for a super sedentary, love to chill, watch sports, hang with the grandkid,
and
at the house?
why is there no upper body stuff in there? And I think number
Good
1,
question.
we have a lot of data now on how leg strength impacts longevity. Like, they always used to say, what, thick thighs save lives or something like that, but that's
Yeah.
actually true.
Right, but also
Your
the
life,
grip strength, right?
yeah, grip
Your
strength
grip
as
strength.
well.
Why are we not trying to test that?
So I just think it's just the basic physical therapy Bible that they're going by there.
Mm.
But most of those things are things that, and I see where your mind's going, because we take we take that for granted, but these are just things that you should be doing, like, just without even thinking about it. Like,
Yeah,
I get up out of my chair, that's a squat, right?
right, and
I
no
reach up,
support, no, like,
yeah,
putting your hand down
I
to get
reach
back
up to
up.
grab something out of the cabinet, I go up on my tippy toes, that's a calf raise. I they're all like just basic things, and I think the whole point of that is like, what you're thinking is, man, I've I would hate to have taken that for granted and gotten to that point where it's like I've now completely lost my mobility at an age where a lot of the guys that we came up looking at are that age, and they're still super jacked and they're in great shape and they're fit and doing all the things,
Sure.
right? And so
Yeah.
there's just no reason for that to go that way. And I don't know much about your father and his sacrifices and all that stuff, but like, I think from my perspective, like, my dad goes out of his way to be as active as he can. Um, and I know he hurts because, like, his knees and his back and all that stuff. Just when he was an X-ray tech and CT scan guy for 40 years, and most of the people, again, general population, that are getting CT scans are not small.
Yeah.
And
He's
so
picking
you
them
have
up.
to pick these people up and put them on the table because they can't do it themselves. And so that's a lot of wear and tear over the years. So I know he's got just general pain, but he goes out of his way to ride his bike. And like, when we went to visit, I said, "Hey, me and Jack are going to go play golf. You want to come with?" And he's like, "Of course." And then we get out there and he wants to hit the ball and he wants to walk around, and so you take those things for granted of being able to do that. When
Yeah.
I think when you lose your mobility, it's like, holy crap. And
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing for people, like, or should be a big thing for people, is like, yeah, you're going through the motions now, but when you get into your late 30s or 40s, 50s, and 60s, that time slips away from you fast,
Yeah.
and
Well, and
things
that
go the other direction fast. And I can tell you that, even though, like, you can certainly still be as strong as ever in your 40s, like, I can still feel some things, like, if I don't pay attention to them, they will slip away, and I'd
right.
have to pay back attention to them to get them to come back. But if I don't, like, my mobility, like, I mean, this is the best I'm getting right now with this lat and shoulder. And so I went back and looked at a squat video that I had from like 6 years ago, and I was squatting with a regular barbell before I even had a safety bar. I can't get on a regular barbell now because this arm does not want to go back without causing a ton of pain in my bicep and tendon that attaches here. So I have to go and try and spend time to fix that. And I know that's a small thing,
Sure.
but
But it's gonna become a bigger issue as time goes on if you
yeah.
don't correct it.
And
Yeah.
so if you take those things for granted, and I'm talking
Yeah.
about a little thing, right? That's just
Yeah. Right.
people are, oh, that's
Right.
stupid. True. But mobility, like, if you lose your mobility, like, you're kind of screwed,
Well,
you
yeah, the
know?
mobility, and then even we've talked about VO2 max before, the importance of like getting your zone 2 cardio and all that. My Apple Watch is broken for that week that I was away. and then I got it back. And actually, look, I dove into the data last night after our workouts, scrolled to the very first walk I ever did with the Apple Watch, and it was like 21, 23 or something like that was my average pace. So almost 21 and a half minutes. Average pace now is sub 15. I'm not wearing the weighted vest. I'm trying to go a little no weighted vest and then cycle back to it. And it just shows you like I mean, now I've cut off 6 minutes plus 6.5 minutes from the first time I ever did it.
And it's
And we're
normal.
talking 3 years, three
Yeah.
years to do that, like we're not, and I'm getting older. I'm not getting younger. So it's like, hey, that's pretty impressive. But imagine when it goes the other way. Like Emily had noticed that as she gets more she got more pregnant last year. It was, dude, I don't know if I can handle walking at that pace. Hey, I don't know if I can handle walking even more than 10 minutes. I'm gonna do my best to just walk around the house, get the body moving when it can, versus you want to go for an hour walk. That's not possible.
Yeah.
And she did take it for granted, tying your shoes, being able to dress yourself sometimes.
Just so everybody understands, like, Dave's not training to be a freaking professional speed walker. Like, he's just
No,
walking to
love
de-stress
walks.
and just to get steps, right? So for health. So it's not like he's making these progressions on purpose. It's not there's no real intention for him to, if he wants to speed up, that's fine. If not, if he's using it for more recovery, then he slows down a little bit. But those adaptations will still occur. And with the aerobic system, they also go away pretty fast. So, in fact, we know that now that, the people always say, oh, like I take a week off, I'm going to lose muscle. That's not true. Like it takes a good minute to really lose muscle. Now, strength is different. It's very neurological, so that can go away pretty fast, but it comes back fast. But your aerobic system adapts and desensitizes very fast. So you can make improvements really fast, and then you can see desensitization really fast too. And so, again, I think those are little things that people take for granted. Like, I haven't, if somebody hasn't gone on a walk in like a month and they go on a walk, they're like, crap, huffing and puffing a little bit, right?
Right.
Just, I'm not, that's one thing that, regardless of how my body feels or like my strength training is going, like, one thing that I'm not going to not do is my zone 2 stuff. Like, you just kind of, once you do it enough, you just kind of feel like it has to be there because it's important, and you just understand the benefits that it has to your heart. And like, who knows, you know what I mean? Like, maybe I'm not great health right now if I haven't been doing all that zone 2 work for the last, I don't know, 10 years consistently, that I've never stopped doing it. So I think, like, there's just no way to tell where I would be without doing that, from a body composition standpoint, from a health standpoint. I think some people will try and say, like, the impact that the zone 2 work has on, your lipids and health isn't as impactful as like the nutrition. And I would debate that. I still think from a body composition standpoint, that's probably true. But from an internal health standpoint, I think the impact that you get from constantly moving that blood through there like that, and
Yeah.
increasing your left ventricular hypertrophy, and how well you can deliver oxygen and move blood, is always going to have a positive impact. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And I kind of was thinking about that last week. When we were doing our zone 2 work, I've been working out at night. I know you know that I hate working out at night, but I have been because Emily wants me to be in there because it's definitely just easier, right, for her. Like she said, okay, if you go out there, I'll go out there. And so it's been good for us. After he goes to bed, we'll work out together, and it just gives us that alone time that's still productive versus I'm on my phone or walking alone and she's working out alone. So we'll change it, but I don't know if that ever,
Let's
but anyway,
take
working
a
out and you
moment.
feel the benefits.
Let's
Yeah.
take a moment and talk about that, because I don't,
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe that's something that doesn't get, it's not sexy, right? People
Hmm.
work out when they want to work out, right? But let's take just a brief moment or a couple minutes and talk about how you personally feel training at 8 or 9 o'clock at night compared to training when you feel is ideal for you at like 11 or 12.
Right. Oh, so much better. Yeah.
So, like, what do you notice is the difference? And I'll share mine, obviously, but like, what have you noticed is the difference between when you like to train versus like when you have to train?
I have noticed that sometimes the performance is higher and sometimes it's not. I know that it with Texas still being hot, it's hard to get out there past noon and to start a workout unless you just wait until the sun goes down. But I will say, if I'm always working out at the same time every day, then it typically like the performance will be about the same. But my body has adjusted. So overall, I would say I've gotten better at working out at night because I'm just doing it when it's ideal for her and I switch the walk during the day. So I'm pushing myself on the walks harder because it is hot. But then I'm also supporting her and giving her the opportunity to like have a workout partner versus she's in there and she doesn't want to do it and doesn't have that added motivation. Whereas like I see her as like, hey, like you're in here, you're my cheerleader too. Like this is great. And I have someone supporting me versus like I'm complaining sometimes in the middle of the day. So I feel great about it, you know. But when it gets hotter or colder, rather, maybe I'll switch back to lunchtime lifts.
So you don't notice like a any type of dip or increase in performance?
I think initially I did, but then it kind of went back to like my body kind of reset because it's expecting the nighttime workouts now.
You can look this up while I'm talking about it, but I believe for men, best ti and I don't know if this is true for women or not, but the best time to train is around, like, 10 or 11 AM because you have peak testosterone at that time,
It says 2 to 6 p.m., but
2 to 6 PM. Okay, s
AI can obviously be wrong.
right.
Depends on consistency and natural circadian rhythm, which the other thing that we do need to consider is not everyone has the same circadian rhythm. That's why the whole I'm a morning person, I'm a night person. That actually is scientifically true. You
Yeah.
could get all your stuff done in the morning for your clients that you want to get done filming content, and then the afternoon cruise, hey, I feel so much better doing the more important stuff like picking up my kids,
Who,
spending time with my wife, etc.
what's the dude's name that worked with TC when they first moved to Florida? What's his name again? I can't remember.
Duke?
Duke.
Yep.
So they used to Charlie and Brian used to give him and Colt used to give him such a hard time because he would only sleep 3 to 4 hours at night.
Yeah. Which isn't, we know for most people, we know isn't good, but
Right. But they've gone and looked and there are like these freak people that have this gene where they do better on less sleep as far as like how they feel. And they don't have to sleep as much because when they do sleep, they're getting super high quality sleep.
Mhm.
And I think he was one of those people because like it never impacted his I mean, he was always jacked and his stores always did pretty darn good. So like and he was always pretty spot on with all his work and everything. So he's one of those people that it didn't impact him at all. Versus with me, I'm not functioning if I don't get a minimum of 7. There's a
Yeah.
extreme drop off.
Yeah.
And
Well, as I get older, you notice the benefits of sleeping longer, right? Like for 20 years ago, when you're a teenager in high school, or 30 for you, it's like, well, 25. Like you're in high school and it's like, hey, like my brain is developing. Now I get it. Like I am sleepy and I do need to get rest.
yeah,
But then football's on and you're like, dude, like what's more important, the football game or getting 7 quality hours of sleep? It's the sleep. Now, if you're willing to sacrifice the half hour, then okay, that's fine.
and again, like, if you're somebody that goes to bed at 11 and gets up at 8, like, that's fine, right? But, for I think for most people that work, like, they have to get up at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
Teachers, nurses,
Emily's a
cops,
6 o'clock
firefighters.
every day.
Yeah,
Yep.
public service people, like, they're getting up pretty early. I know for us, like, stores open at 10, but you're there 10 to 8, and it
Well,
used
I
to
get there at
be
8 o'clock sometimes.
yeah, it used to well, yes. It used to be you could go to the gym during your off time or like downtime at work like it and it was considered marketing but that went away as the corporate structure started to change and people were taking advantage of that. Oh, I'm in the gym for 3 hours and like there's one person in the store and he's getting slammed left and right. It's like, dude,
Sure.
why are you in the gym for 3 hours? Like, what are you
Yeah.
doing over there? You're sitting in the sauna for half the time, whatever. But then as I became a district guy, it was you're up at 6:30 and
6:30. I'm talking
yeah,
about 4:30.
what I eat to each its own. Sleep for me, it was incredibly important. So I'm
Yeah, absolutely.
in the gym by 7. And then I was at that time I was gonna take an ice bath afterwards, take a shower, shave, and then it all depended on where I was going, right?
Hmm.
So that was kind of like the flow of how I did things. And I've tried to keep that flow because that flow had worked so well for me. But to go back to what we were discussing, for me, what I notice if I train in the afternoon or into the evening times, like later in the day, my warm up time goes way down. So it takes me so much less to warm up. Okay. So I think that's number one. Number two, the the um the the pumps for me are a lot better. And I think that has to do with just you're more nourished later in
Okay,
the
see
day.
that I didn't know if you wanted me to go into much of this. Yeah, now I get it. Yeah, I have felt more pumped. Okay, now I see where you're going with this.
Yeah. So
Definitely.
I I'm not so the conditioning feels like I have to rest less. Again, fuel is probably a thing there. And again, like I'm not saying get up at 5 a.m. and try and get 3 huge meals in before you train at 10 because that's going to fix the issue. I can't pinpoint. I'm only giving anecdotal evidence as to like myself. And now for me, again, it's hard to say, but like it depends on how late in the day. 8 o'clock, my strength's not going to be at anywhere near close to where it would
Yeah.
be at noon. I don't
Yeah.
know why that is, but again, I do feel more lubricated, so to speak, training in the evening, but it's just not conducive to my lifestyle
Yeah.
to go and train in the
Well,
evening.
the windows changed too, right? Before Theo came out, it was I can work out whenever the hell I want,
Yeah.
and I was actually not working the last couple months of her pregnancy. And so I was able to work out at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. I mean, whenever, like, right. But then sometimes, he came out, and I think it was you saying, right away, you were like, hey, you're not going to be able to do those heavier sets for at least a month. And I think we waited pretty much until like November to really start back up on a hardcore training cycle. And it was just kind of going through the motions, as we said before, like you're still getting it in, get a sweat in, get some personal time in, like that's it. But the more important thing is, your lifestyle is not just you and her. It's now this baby that requires your attention, and he cannot communicate what he needs. So you have to give him all of your attention whatsoever.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, I mean, I do think like you have your windows, right? Like, okay, daycare drop off, after that, then work starts, and then you have your lunchtime area. And then right before lunch or before work ends, you can kind of work up, and then you got to go pick up the kid. And then I got to come home and battle traffic and nighttime routine. It's like, it's just easier to just schedule things around certain blocks of the
Yeah.
day,
And
you
I
know?
think for me, I gained a lot of energy from as long as the stress was controlled in those training sessions, right? I gained a lot of energy throughout the day from those morning sessions. Now, you could certainly go and kick the crap out of yourself and feel tired for the rest of the day because you did just
Yeah. I've done
way
that.
too much volume or lifted way too heavy too much. Like there's a sweet spot there. I do still think it's about 60 minutes because I can tell a significant difference if I push to an hour and 30 because I know I need to get more volume in certain areas versus quit being, quit being a baby and just reduce the rest intervals on your accessory movements and just
Right.
get the work done. And you can
Yeah.
get like, I've noticed such a huge difference in that 60 minutes versus taking things so much slower. The outcome's going to be the same, the performance is going to be the same as you get more fit. Louis talked about this all the time. If you don't, at first, shortening those rest intervals will impact your performance. But as you get in better shape for doing that thing, you will need less rest. You get more done, which leads to more overall volume and intensity and load all in that time slot. Versus if you're dragging it out an hour and a half, good luck. for the rest of the day trying to get anything else done because you're going to be just, going through I need to take a nap. I need to do all these things. And
Yeah, well, you're
that
taking
becomes
40
hard.
minutes on accessories. Yeah, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
It should be 25 minutes.
No. And even with max effort, like that top attempt, you could push the rest interval, right? But everything leading up to that, if you're taking 2 minutes between 135 and 185 when you're benching or squatting or deadlifting, no, dude.
It's like
Like
a minute. I think it's
you're
like 60, 45 to 60.
you're
Yeah.
it's either that or like, so if you listen to some of Louis' old tapes or podcasts, in his garage when they first started Westside, you couldn't squat unless you started with the hundreds on each side because they were welded onto the bar. So you had to be fit enough to start with
Just go. Yeah.
245, right? You had to go. And then from there, it's like you're making the jumps based on,
Yeah.
what you need. And
And it's the
so,
amount of people in the rotation. You're probably only getting 60 to 90 seconds anyway.
Dave, if we did,
If you're not squatting, you're putting the weight on. Yeah.
if you and me did a dynamic effort bench or deadlift or squat session together, it would be you go, I spot, change the weight, I go, you spot. We would be done in
Repeat.
7 minutes and you would
Yep.
be smoked because that's
Yep.
just not something that you used to pushing. I don't leave the rack. When I record my stuff and I post it, the only time I'll leave the rack is if I change the angle of the camera, but I just leave the camera running and then I chop it up and edit it
Oh, you do. Yeah.
to post it because I'm not leaving that rack. I'm sitting there on that box for 30 seconds and then I'm going again. Or bench, I'll push to like 15 seconds because number one, dynamic effort's all about speed and then getting the work done and getting the volume in and then getting out. Right.
Right.
That's
Right.
all it is. It's not heavy.
At a
It's
certain, at a lower
yes.
volume level. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
look at how they're doing things now at the new West Side with the fighters, they're doing a condensed dynamic effort upper and lower day together combined. And there's like 15 exercises, right? So they're doing sometimes they're doing their jumps, box squat, speed deadlift, speed bench, and then accessories for all of those three things, right? So they're doing 15 exercises, but guess what? They don't rest in between
You're
because
like,
they're doing
3 minutes,
their
4 minutes,
accessories
6 minutes,
to
8 minutes. Yeah. Like, you're like, oh, it's only a 35-minute workout because they're
yeah,
just,
but if you're fatiguing one area and then going to another area and fatiguing that area, so you're not fatiguing the same movement pattern.
and isn't that the importance too of like the skilled lifter, like knowing my buddy Gage is like, hey, like I don't need to like crush waters during the workout. He's like, I'm hydrated before, like I'd rather just do it. And it's the same with that person at Westside that's like doing the workout, right? And just says, hey, like hydrate before you come in, be ready. And then now you're not checking your phone, you're not drinking them some
No, I'm
water.
saying they make those guys check their phones at the door, like
Yeah.
I would imagine. So like,
Put them away. Like,
yeah,
this is work time.
you'd be
Yeah.
surprised what happens when you limit all of those distractions. I know we're going on a tangent here, but
It's
like,
the only thing to do. There's only one thing to do, which is you
right,
do the work. You do
right.
the work.
And
Yeah.
so again, just like bringing it full circle, I think that for a lot of people there, if you can fit it in that 45 to 60 minutes, which you can, I don't write a program that someone can't get done in 60 minutes, whether they take an hour and a half or 60 minutes,
That's
like that's
that's
the
the
difference.
problem.
People
Yeah.
don't understand like that is how you create adaptation by pushing the pace sometimes. Like that's just another way to create adaptation.
Zone 2, same thing. When you
Yeah.
write, X amount of rounds, like every single week that I've done the conditioning, I'm like, dude, I gotta beat last week's. Even if it's just like, I think last week I only beat one of them by one. And I was like, dude, like you rested less and you hit one more, like I'll take it as a win. Or like there was another one where I hit like 5 or 6 rounds more. And I said, dude, great job. You hit 5 or 6 more rounds, less rest. Like,
Yeah.
that's
So
winning right there,
the
man.
easy example is like if you're programming something like that is if I give you 5 things to do. Let's just say we're doing a mixed modality conditioning session. You start with the bike, right? 30 seconds on the bike, 30 seconds kettlebell swings, 30 seconds kettlebell cleans, 30 seconds farmer's walk, 30 seconds side bends, whatever. And then, so I know 30 a minute, 30, 2 minutes. So 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And then I give you 30 seconds rest at the end of that. And now I know I have 3 minutes, right? So if I
Yeah, like
want,
a
if I, there's no reason why if I give you 8 rounds, you
yeah,
shouldn't get that done in
30 minutes.
30 minutes or
Yeah,
whatever, 8 times 3, or no, nine, 10 rounds. If I give you 10 rounds, it's 30 minutes, right? It's cut and dry, right? But if you're fooling around and you're doing this and you're doing that and you're not sticking to the intervals, then it's going to take you 45 minutes. There's just no reason for that, right? So I think people got to realize like strength endurance is a real thing. And if you can improve your strength endurance, you're going to do more reps with your 3 rep max, which is going to lead to more neurological adaptations, more
right.
strength, more muscle.
And that transitions to what we were talking, or translates to what we were talking about before. Like, my dad wants to go to that football game, right? The Patriots game at the end of the month. And walking 4 or 5 miles a day, dude, I could walk around that stadium the entire game and be okay. I might have to stop to go to the bathroom or grab some water, but you're fine, right? I mean,
Right.
you do the more zone 2 cardio I do, I'm not worried about if, for whatever reason, if I want to go, yell at Arch Manning. If we go to a Texas game, that I couldn't be fine walking to my seat and walking all the way back. Where we went a couple of years ago, it was the very last row in the entire stadium. I felt like I was gonna fall. It was a night game too, but it's like, and it gets hot down here. It translates to, after you become an adult, after you become a parent, why is it so important? I wrote down here: use it before you lose it. The importance of being grateful for your mobility, your cardio, your ability, before you're wishing that you had it for just a little bit longer.
Yeah. And I think it's important for people to understand like what that feels like, right? Like,
Right. Yeah.
have you ever, have you ever gone out for a run or a walk on a cool morning? And I mean, like not cold, but like 55, 65 degrees,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You
Sure.
can breathe easy
Hmm.
and you're like
Yeah.
looking at your watch. I'm like, crap, I'm hitting 13-minute walking miles. Like, what the heck's going on? Right. That's what that feels like. That's the difference between walking in that weather and then walking when it's like stark hot outside, right? That's the difference between somebody that does the work and that somebody that doesn't do the work. Is this person's huffing and puffing and they're walking 17 minutes versus this person's clearing 13 minutes and they're
Right.
barely able to get their heart rate up to 100.
Right.
There's
It
a
was 85 today
difference
when I
there.
did the walk before
Or
this.
another
61%
example
humidity.
is
It was
like,
super hot.
you know, I look at there's no real situation with exercise where you're not gonna like, if you're training hard, where you're not gonna be like huffing and puffing, right? Is sometimes that just happens. Like if I go out for a jog, as I warm up, like I'm gonna be breathing less hard, but it takes your heart a little bit to catch up, right?
Yep. Yep.
Well, the biggest thing is how fast does your heart rate recover to that zone that you need it to be in, and how fast do you catch your breath, right? So if I put you on a hill right now without warming up, and this hill is, you know, 90 degrees and it's 100 yards or whatever, and you have to walk up to that at the top of that hill as fast as possible, walk back down and then go again. Somebody that's fit can do that and still be fatigued as far as how they're breathing. But by the time they get down to the bottom, they're caught up and they're good to go again versus the person that's not fit. They may not even make it back down the hill. That's the difference in having that recoverability and having a strong aerobic base, which then carries to everything.
Yeah. When you're having to do the hard stuff, it's not as hard, right? I mean, I saw you admiring Jack's swing the other day, and it's like he's throwing his body into the whole thing, and it's like, damn, I miss that mobility, bro.
Yeah, but
Like,
okay, so
oh my
great,
God.
great, Dave, great example, right? That's GPP, right?
Yep. Yep.
So he can swing that club over and over and over. Why? Because he swings the club over and over
Right.
and over. It becomes just it's GP, it's general physical preparedness. And so anything that requires him to swing something is naturally going to be easy versus if you try to pick up some clubs and go play 18 holes, you're going to be exhausted because you're not
Yeah.
used to taking
Yeah.
stroke that over and over.
Done
It's
that
just it's just
once. Yeah,
general
exactly.
to that thing, right? So that's like the essence of everything. The trash man that picks up 100-pound trash can every single day can crush that, right? He may not be able to run 2 miles, but he has the general physical preparedness to pick up that trash can and chunk it every single day. Whereas the next person, they can barely roll it to the curb. Why? Because he does it every freaking day.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
Just
you
like
have the
Milo and the calf.
yeah? Well, what was the, like, the first time you ever worked in a store, right? After I mean, I guess you're coming from law enforcement, right? So maybe it's a little different, but, like, working in restaurants, the first time I ever, like, finished a shift was like, "Man, my feet are kinda tired, my legs are hurting," and then it's, like, slowly over time, you're like, "Dude, like, getting 15,000 steps, like, isn't that hard anymore, and it's really not hard on the body." Then you go to the store environment, and I'm like, "Damn, this store is much smaller than a restaurant. I don't really have to walk as much," but you're still tired. And then working from home now, it's like, dude, I got to get my steps in somehow. And then you do it. Saturday, we're gonna go to Pop Stroke, which is like Tiger Woods, I guess, bought it with TaylorMade Golf in Austin, and they have like a mini golf course. And it's like you walk that course, like it's not gonna be a big problem, even if it was a full golf course, right? Like that's fine. You know, it does translate into everything. It is having a higher GPP and being okay with the struggle because you know that you're gonna get the benefits later.
Yeah. I mean, good luck finding the average person that is 70 years old outside bending over, laying mulch, pulling weeds, mowing the grass, right? It again, we take the most simplistic things for granted. But guess what? My mom's been pulling weeds her whole life. It's very cathartic for her. And she gets out there and still does it in the hot Florida humidity.
Sounds like my mom. Yeah,
So
like, I love pulling weeds. Like, nobody has ever said that to me except you.
yeah, and I catch myself sometimes out there doing the same thing, and I'm like, I wonder where I got that from. But like,
Yeah.
if you grow up, so I don't know if you, I can't remember if you guys get a lot of crabgrass down there or not, but like in Florida,
I don't know. I don't think so.
we get it's essentially like a cancer for grass. It just suffocates the grass. It's a weed, and it just goes rampant unless you take care of it. The problem is you can throw, you know, fertilizer on it or whatever to try and kill it, but it comes back. So you physically have to get down and rip it out. And then the other grass will grow back eventually because it's not being suffocated out anymore. So growing up, we had a lot of crabgrass in Florida, and so we had to go out and help. If you know that was one of our things. If you wanted to make extra money for allowance or whatever, you get out there and get on the crabgrass, or you cut the palmetto plants or whatever. And so
Mm.
that was one of the things that I feel like I just kind of grew up doing was like we pulled crabgrass. And so it's like natural for me now to just go out there and pull crabgrass and like my body just naturally is okay with that. It doesn't bother me.
Right. We get crabgrass here in Central Texas, which not surprising. It is such a cancer for grass.
It's terrible. No, and it's crazy because like we didn't have it here at first in the spring. And then one person got it in their yard, and what happens is when people mow, they blow the stuff out in the road, and then the seedlings end up in other people's lawns. And now I've got crabgrass all in my freaking yard, even though it was pristine earlier.
Pet peeve of mine. When you mow your grass, we have a landscaper because honestly it's cheap and he does a really good job. And I sold all my equipment anyway, but because for the home gym, right? I hate when someone will mow their lawn, and it's usually people who mow their own lawns. It's not landscaping companies. The landscaping companies around here do phenomenal jobs, right? And they'll just blow it in the street, or they won't even pick it up. Like they'll like just mulch the grass, and they just say, "Yeah, I'll just leave it there." And I'm like, "Do you not care about your neighbor or like stepping? I mean, as a walker, right? Frequently walking in the neighborhood." Like, damn, dude, there's grass all over the sidewalk. There's grass all over the street. Like, clean up our community, man. Like, what are we doing here?
You're sup- my understanding is like you're supposed to blow it back into your yard because the clippings are good and healthy for like it's like a
Yeah,
fertilizer type of situation.
that's
Because
fine. That would be fine with me. But like, you're on the street, and it's like you're just causing it to be that's just dirt now. Like
Yeah.
you're just putting it in the street, or you're blowing crabgrass into other people's yards. Now you're just harming other people. I mean, that's we just burn poison ivy too at this point.
Yeah. Yep.
I think we should close it out with I wrote here like 5 to 10 body weight movements you can do to get into better shape. I think we can throw in like activities you can do if you're not super into like working out, but you do want to do something that is more active if you're not already super active, right? Like I would say that we are super active people and we have activities like golf for you, pickleball. I haven't played pickleball in months, so I'm just going to say I'm not really a pickleball. I would say I'm a fan of being outside at this point. But yeah, I would say like 2 to 3 activities you could do that if you're like a former runner, you want to stay active, and then maybe 5 body weight movements you could do to just get into better shape for your everyday life. So you're not taking for granted those mobility, your cardiovascular health, your ability. So Justin, what do you got?
I would look at it from a standpoint of obviously it's not going to be as ideal, like we've already come to that conclusion, right? But I would, if you're trying to kind of lump everything together, I've made circuits in the past for people that they can't, for whatever reason, they can't get out and do their walks. And yeah, so those people exist. And so
That sounds like me in the past, 2021.
I have to accommodate them because they have small children or they just like stay at home mom, 3 kids. They just can't get
I
out.
get what you're saying. Just a schedule.
Right. So
Yeah.
what I'll do is I will create some kind of like low impact circuit for them that involves different types of marching. And so I think a lot of people they will say like, well, there's only so many. No, there's actually quite a few, types of marching you can do. So the first one you could do like a glute march, which is you lay back on a bench or a bed or a couch. Half your body is off, you put your hips up as high as they will go, so you activate your glutes, and then you start marching, which you have to brace your core, but then it's also putting a ton of blood in your glutes, and your hamstrings.
So you're kind of like a crab walk, but your elbows are supported on the
Yes,
couch. Yeah.
correct, correct.
Okay.
And then I will do a wall sit march where you put your back to the wall like you're going to do a regular wall sit, except now you're marching. That's pretty darn hard too. Okay. And again, this is for somebody that's trying to just get that feel of I'm getting my steps in, but I'm doing it in a place or in place. Body weight squats, believe it or not, if you were to do, I would debate with anybody that if you wanted to get some zone 2 work in and you just don't have the ability to, there's really no excuse at this point because I'm laying it out for you, but, you know, do 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off body weight squats, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
If
It's
your heart
tough.
rate's not 130, at least, like, you're just going way too slow. Jumping jacks is another one. Pogo hops is another one that you could take and put all these things kinda, like, into a circuit, and you're gonna get, um you're gonna get your zone 2, maybe even zone 3 in there. But then if you're not doing these things to begin with, like, you may see a benefit from the body weight. There's always gonna be um, those people that are like, um, functional movement patterns, all you need to do is body weight, blah, blah, blah. Like, I think for the average person, it's probably fine. You or I, it's probably not gonna create any adaptations, but, like, there's a couple of ways to be able to do more push-ups, but probably the most important way is to do push-ups. And so
Yeah.
if you do enough push-ups, you're going to get fit enough to do more push-ups. And the other way is obviously to just get stronger
Well, yeah.
relative to your
Now,
body.
now you got me on the something that we never talked about on the pod that I wanted to bring up. Herschel Walker's body weight workout routine. Have we talked about this before? No.
We haven't, but I know what it is.
Daily routine of 1,500 to 3,500 push-ups. That's insane. 2,000 to 3,500 sit-ups, 1,000 pull-ups with variations in hand position for push-ups, incorporated crunches, leg lifts, tire resistant sprints along with agility training. Started his childhood due to lack of gym access. Yeah, so push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, sprints, ab exercises, agility, variation, stuff like that. So, I mean, none of that involves literally anything except your hands and a pull-up bar. I mean, that's about your body in a pull-up bar?
Again, there's a couple things to point out here. Number one,
Right.
genetic freak. That guy ran a
You're not
me at like 60 years old.
you're not Herschel Walker.
No. Number two, he did cage fighting at
Yes.
50 years old and
Yep.
won. Okay. Probably, if not the most, one of the most explosive athletes to ever exist on the,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Bo Jackson is up there too, Michael Jordan, just super twitchy, right? Super twitched up. The other thing is that guy's been doing that for 50 years. So he can
Right,
knock
right,
out,
right.
his body can sustain that amount of volume because it's his body, right? So this doesn't mean like, hey, I can bench 275, so I should just put 135 on the bar and do 5 sets of 1,000. Like it doesn't work that way, right? Like there
Yeah.
still has to be stimulus beyond what the body's normally used to. So that will work for some people, right? But it takes a long time to build up that type of capacity to get to that stage, right? But I think the point that Dave is making here is like there are a lot of things you can get done and not have any equipment. I would venture to say that if you're somebody that can do, let's say, 25 push-ups and you get up in the morning and you do 25 and then in the evening you do 25 and you do that and every week you just try to do one more rep, right?
Yep, I was getting waiting for you to say that because, like,
The
he
next
says here,
week I
start
do 26, 26, and then 27. Eventually you're going to be able to do 100 push-ups and you will see some increase in muscle tissue. I don't know how that carries over to all the other things. Is it as fast as just trying to increase your bench press relative to your body weight? Probably not. Because I can use the 225 combat combine test as an example here. Like there's guys that you can train your aerobic system and your strength endurance in a pretty short period of time to be able to do 10 more reps than you could before because you're in better shape. But if you look at, let's say, there's a guy that can naturally do 30 reps because he can bench 450, right? And there's a guy that can build his way from 20 to 30 reps because of his aerobic system, but he can only bench 385. There's a stark difference in how strong those two individuals are, even though they both did 30 reps on the bench. That's why I think that bench test is stupid. They should either do 3 or 5 rep maxes, but that's for another topic for another day.
Mhm.
You know, that just all goes back to like how trainable that system is.
Right, no, for sure, and, like you just said, like, I was just looking at a supplement page that, like, was recommending, like, 100 push-ups, 50 pull-ups, 100 reps of sit-ups, body weight squats, 150, and then sprints, 10 40-yard sprints as fast as possible, and it's like, there's a lot of factors in here, like, okay, you're not mentioning that you should warm up before you do 10 40-yard sprints, but we do have a track close by, and I'm kind of like thinking that'd be
Nope.
cool to, yeah, but I'm not
Nope.
gonna
We
sprint.
talked
I
about
don't
this.
think sprinting is crazy right away, as we said. Like, you got to build up to that.
Yeah. We talked about this a couple episodes back. Like the average person that has not ran or sprinted in 3 to 5 years or even 1 year should not go out there because you're blowing
No,
something off the bone the minute you get warmed up. Like
yeah, no, I'm
it's
not doing
not.
that. But the other stuff, like you said, like, you could just train with weights to increase your bench press or your pull ups, wear a weighted vest and stuff like that. You see people trying to increase their pull-ups. It's like, hey, like, the best way to be better at pull-ups is to just, like, do more pull-ups. Like, like, best way to be the best way to do pull-ups is just train everything that is required of getting those muscles stronger so you can do pull-ups
So
better. Everything.
the caveat there is that eventually you're going to hit this stage where that's great for somebody that can't do a pull-up, right? You start with holds, then eccentrics, then eventually like you become strong enough within your relative body weight to be able to do a
Yeah.
pull-up, right? And
Right.
then
Right.
as you do more, you could do more, but eventually you will hit that stall point, and let's just say it's 10 pull-ups where it's like, okay, now I have to do 6 sets of 3 with a 5-pound weight to create a new adaptation. So you do kind of cap on like just your body weight, but we're talking about a minimum of a year to 2 years before that would happen. So there's really no excuse where, you can't not just do body weight squats and do push-ups. And again, we're not talking about like 5-minute workouts here, people. We're talking about like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Like you can you have to hit a certain amount to get better in a certain amount of time, right? But
Finding the time, those 5 minute, 10 minute windows to do, hey, I got 5 minutes. I'm gonna knock out, my 100 bodyweight squats right now, or I'm gonna knock out as many as I can, and just write it down. You have a cell phone that you can write down. I did 50 today. You could text yourself like squats, push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups. Dude, you're doing a great job. Even like little great little notes to yourself that you're doing
and the
great.
the other side of that coin too, Dave, is people like you and I, right?
Mhm.
If all you're doing for to train your back or your chest or whatever is lat pull downs and leg press and chest press machine, there's no if you're pretty strong, doing a set of 50 push-ups is not taking away from your
No.
strength or recoverability. Again, Louis talked about that all the time, doing these second workouts later in the day with bands or lighter weight. If you're fit, it's not going to take away from your ability to perform the next day, right? It's all about your
Yeah.
level
And
of.
that's the same as you working out and then going to play golf with Jack, or you guys do golf and then you do your workout and you're like, I'm not really that tired. Like it's really not.
I'll
Like
give you a
I'm
great
fine.
example, and nobody's going to believe this, and I don't care if they do or not. But like, we went and played yesterday, and we went and played an hour after. This is technically a deload week. If you ever want to know if I'm doing a deload week, I'm doing reverse bands. Okay, so if you see me do reverse bands, I'm doing a deload. So
Yeah. And I know that. Yeah.
I'm doing like a higher intensity, lower volume deload, and sometimes you can do the opposite. So like I did trap bar deadlift, and that was a very like I worked up to something I could have done 5 times from a deficit with the reverse band, and then I did 2 sets, but still heavy, of the Bulgarians with the Hatfield,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
then
that
I
was
did
that was funky. I liked it.
and then I did rotational core and I did reverse hyper, right? I went out an hour later. I think I'm not 100% sure, but I might be onto something here for golfers if you're a golfer that listens to this podcast. But I hit the ball way farther than I normally do. I was way more accurate than I normally am. And I shot my best score, which is an 87.
Look at that lower body getting all warmed up and then
Oh,
your
yes.
lats.
But I think because and I researched this, I actually have a thesis in my notes that I did of how the conjugate method specifically should be used by golfers and why. And
Dr. Commodorus,
yeah, obviously,
PhD candidate.
strength is a huge component of how hard you can swing the club, how fast the ball comes off the club head speed, all these different things. But one of the other really strong things that they found with these in the research that I found was then individuals that took place in a strength conditioning routine, specifically if they were to use that type of system, found that their accuracy was way higher than people that didn't strength train. And I think it's because there's it's a neurological adaptation that will occur from strength training, specifically utilizing max effort work, right? Because that's causing a neurological adaptation in central nervous system to take place. So now I'm not, I've been thinking the last couple of days, like, was it specifically the trap bar that created that? Or was it the unilateral exercise? Because golf kind of takes place unilaterally, even though both of your feet are on the ground and both your hands are on the clubs. Both limbs are doing something different when you swing the
Hmm.
golf club, right? And it's
Yeah.
all brought together. And maybe there's someone out there that's smarter than me that can explain this, but I think it's a combination of the unilateral with the max effort work that allowed me to then go out, an hour and a half later without warming up on the range or anything and strike the ball better than I've been striking the ball, but with more precision. So, you know, I had more pars and a birdie in a round than I've ever had, and that's why I scored lower. And I think it's because my accuracy improved. So again, I don't even remember where we were going with this, but
Your consistency in training does translate to other activities becoming easier
oh
slash,
yes,
more effective.
yes, and so that's a 100%. When you do things enough, you're gonna get better at them, and then you have to find new ways to do them, or then you'll stagnate. It's just basics.
What was the number you shot?
87.
That's the best ever.
That's my best. Yeah, so, like, that's, I believe, 72. It was even. So, I'm 15 over, but for me, I was 4 over on the front, and then I was 9 over on the back or something like that. So, like, I kinda lost a little bit towards the back, but I still, like, what I played on the back was better than what I normally play for the whole round. So,
Yeah, I was just thinking about it like, oh damn, I hadn't played pickleball in a while. Maybe I should go try to play before we go get him at daycare. But it's like it's doing those things consistently, having more fun during the process, and really being grateful for having what you have before you take it for granted. And then one day you get up because, just on a personal note, it does suck to see my parents start losing some of their mobility. And like, it's scary to watch it happen.
and, we can end on this, but, like, and I'm not trying to, like, what do they call it? Rage bait anybody here, but, like, I'm trying to, when it comes to doing those physically active things with my kids, like, I'm trying to never say no.
Yeah.
"Hey, dad, wanna
Always
go
say
throw the
yes.
ball? Hey, dad, wanna go to the range? Hey, dad, wanna, go for a bike ride? Wanna go for a walk?" Like, "Man, I just, my knees hurt too bad, my back hurts, I'm too fat, I'm too sick. I'm not doing it." It's like, "Nah, dude, to hell with that, man. I'm not ever gonna be about that life." And that fatigue, there are times where I'm tired, but I'm not willing
Give in.
um to give in. And so I think a
Yeah.
lot of people, they get to the point where it's just, they're just too far gone, and they're like, "Ah," and it's like, I don't think anybody's too far gone unless you're like, you're about to go like tomorrow. You know what I mean? There's always a chance. There's always, like,
Right.
sunshine. And so I'm just not trying to be that guy that's ever gonna not be able to do those things.
Fuck no, dude.
Not only that, but I'm now forcing myself to be able to do those things on a high level. So if I go out there, I'm not embarrassing myself or my son,
Hmm.
right? And that's just the standard for me, and that's the standard that I try to hold with my family, is like, if you're going to do something, you might as well do it on a high level. I don't care. Like, uh uh, Parker plays the freaking French horn now. And if she wants me to learn how to play the French, I was trying to play, man, I can't. She brought one home, and I'm like, "Mom."
She's smoking you on the French horn. You're like, I'm learning. Give me a break.
I It doesn't matter. It could be anything. Like, if he could change his mind tomorrow and it's soccer, like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
Or if it's, hey, I wanna go do jujitsu or whatever. Like, I'm gonna be ready for it. I'm gonna be prepared. And I think, from a general standpoint, people should have a general level of fitness to be able to do those
Yeah.
things, right?
And as a parent, you should always put your kids first, no matter what you're feeling. Unless you are, like you said, on the verge of death, you should try to say yes to everything to be involved with them. And like, dude, I will admittedly say, I throw on like TV, background noise, football, if there's a sporting event. He's still the main focus. And he
Yeah,
likes football, like, oh wow, like I'm so surprised, like we'll talk about the game. He's not talking much back, but
yeah.
I imagine he'll be like Jack someday, or Parker, you know, chat it up, right? Like, hey, what'd you think of that play?
The, what Sal Palladino, or what's that muscle
Sal Palantonio? No,
from
he's
the podcast guys, the three like it's
oh, oh, Mind Pump.
Mind Pump. Okay, so
Yeah, I don't
what
know his name.
I'll stop talking after I say this one little quote. So
Di Stefano.
somebody asked him about like, hey, you know, I'm 60 something years old and like, can I still build muscle or something like that? His response was something about like, you don't stop adapting until you're dead, right?
Yeah,
So there's always an opportunity to get better at something, right? So whether it's
right,
your and as you get older, it's more your brain than it is your body, right? But we're seeing people that are in their 60s and 70s doing freakishly athletic things. We
right.
talked about that 12, 9, 800 meters at like 80 years old or something.
Hmm.
It's just ridiculous, right? So
Yeah,
you don't stop adapting till you die. Okay. So just shut up and start.
yeah. And the other thing too, just to like on another sporting note, like these people that you see on television are the greatest in the world at what they do. Pat Murphy is the manager of the Milwaukee Brewers. I listened to an interview of him today on Pat McAfee, and he basically, they were hyping up Miz, the kid who throws 100 plus. He hit 104.8 last night on the radar gun, and the manager's response was, I mean, a lot of people throw 100, like, and a manager, like, or a player, like a professional, can tee it up if they time it right. So basically, his point is like, you still have to be better than the other guy at the plate. If you're the greatest hitter, the pitcher can still beat you because everyone here is. So do the best you can, but also like, just because you're good doesn't mean you're the best either. You
Right.
have to, hey, just because you can walk with your son today doesn't mean you never have to try to walk again. Like, no, just actually, you should try to walk even harder. You should try to even push it even more. So then if he does want to go to the state fair, then it's going to be ain't no thing. I can go.
I don't know where the disconnect happened where people just stop trying to better themselves every day. You know what I mean? There should always be this constant reminder of like, I need to adapt to something. I need to try and better, whether it be mentally, physically, emotionally. There should
My
always
thought is the
go ahead.
invention of the television and mass marketing of cigarettes and alcohol. That's
Yeah.
probably when we went downhill.
Yeah. I mean, all goes
Processed
down.
foods.
It's just discipline, you know? If
Yeah,
you
right.
know, look, if I, man, what kind of parent, what kind of coach would I be if I'm just like, I'm just trying to maintain. That was always like the goal that people would give me at 5 star that would just frustrate the heck out of me. Like, so what are we trying to maintain? Are you trying to maintain like muscle or
Yeah,
body
yeah,
fat? By the way, you're 55 and like we just did your in body and where I'm going with
yeah,
that. So it's like
yeah,
that maintaining it to me, it's like, okay, you're maintaining that, but usually when you're maintaining that, you're trying to build on something else. I get that
yeah,
part. Like, oh, I'm
yeah,
trying to build
yeah.
my aerobic system now so that I can build muscle later. So I'm not really super okay. I understand that. But I'm just gonna kind of do these workouts and just go through the motions because it's like good for me. It's like, no, no, you're not. Deep down in your body and your mind, you want to do something. You're not just working out just to because somebody told you to. Like there's a reason for it. So ultimately,
Right,
like,
right. That you
you know,
always have a goal or a person that maybe you emulate. I mean, I would say that I used to have a goal of somebody else, and now I look at myself in the mirror every day and I go, I just want to look a little bit better than the person that I'm staring at. But that is my goal body, is that
yeah,
guy. Like I'm always like, yeah, like dude, you can do it.
yeah.
You're the goal, buddy. It's like yourself,
You're not competing against anybody else. Like you're competing against
No,
yourself for sure.
no. And you can see you got to be brutally honest with yourself and look at yourself and say, where can I improve in my physique, my training, my nutrition, my recovery, less screen time. I mean, deleting a couple social media apps has done wonders for me and my wife. It's just
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, like I don't need to be on there. Like I'm spending less time on there. Looking at funny memes is fine. We exchange those, but looking at other people is such a waste of your time, in my opinion.
Laughter is
Well,
beautiful. So like I'm
laughter
very
is totally a good joke, specifically during the NFL season or when all four sports are starting pretty soon here. Hockey tonight. it's beautiful, right? You see some funny stuff on there. But with that note, I'll say Justin's going to go listen to the entire Taylor Swift new album. He's got a busy day ahead of him. I'm kidding. With that, this has been another episode of the Conjugate Dads podcast. For Justin Commodorius, Dave Chase, we hope that you go ahead and go on our socials and give us a follow on, what are we on Instagram? The Conjugate Dads podcast, or Conjugate Dads pod? One of those. You can go on Justin's page. I think he's justin.commodoris.coaching. I think I'm Coach Dave Chase. Maybe I'll change that. I don't know. I feel like it's just not popping as much. It needs to sound good. This episode has been sponsored by Common Athlete Performance Coaching. Really, really crappy ending here to the episode. So anyone who's listening is going to say, you know what? Just you mailed it in at the end. We hope you enjoy the episode, and we'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.